Hello everybody and welcome back to the 12 days of ComiXmas. You may notice that today I'm in my corporeal form and I'm not just a disembodied voice, and that's because today we're going to be looking at something that I do physically possess. It is in this comic collection. It's called the Mammoth Book of Best Horror Comics, and this is a collection I really like. There's a lot of very cool comics in here. There's a lot of different art styles, and you get a sampler of just all comic history, basically, and you can see how much art styles have changed over the years. You can see where trends in comics, just the way things have changed in terms of art style, things that are a little more experimental. And it's just a really fun collection to look through. You can see I have a lot of things post-it noted just to go back and look at. I have some of my favorite things listed. But today we're going to take a look at, it's called Santa's Claus. And the date is interesting. That is April. I don't know if maybe it was written in April and then just published closer to the holiday season. This is kind of like with what we saw in our first episode of this series. The Santa Claus Conquers the Martians comic. The publication date was March, which seems a little unseasonal, but I don't know. Maybe, again, it was just written earlier in the year and then published at a more seasonal time. But in Web of Horror 3, we have Santa's Claus. And again, like a lot of the other comics featured in this collection, this has a really cool art style. I really like like here you get this cool cross hatching in the background around the moon. And then the moonlight is also, there's like a rim lighting on these wolves that just has such a cool look to it. This is the kind of inking that I really like, when there's a lot of detail, but there's like a point to the detail. Recently, I was complaining about some of the comics in the 90s. I think the line art is fussy and not necessarily with any good reason to be fussy. If you can just be super detailed with your line art and have it have a purpose, I think that's really awesome. And I do like the panel layouts. I will say that they're doing the thing where, let me hold it a little closer. You can see they are drawn little arrows as like a, hey, this is how you need to be reading that. And I feel like ideally you shouldn't have to be using little arrows to tell the reader how your comic should be read. I feel like it should be a little more obvious. Though I think you could just take the arrows out and it would be fine. I don't think it's a bad layout in this context. But the gist of our story is we have this dude, this totally not Count Dracula, who has rolled into town during the winter. He's taken up lodging at this inn, and that's not going too well for the people of the town. There are what seems to be unsolved murders of a totally not suspicious nature, and this is kind of just ruining the whole holiday spirit, and they are determined to find who this killer is. They are suspecting this weird spooky man who showed up at the inn and never comes out during the day. Again, we got a little bit of suspicion here. And I just really like, I think that's a cool panel. The way the light is being cast from the candle, the strong shadows. It's just a really cool looking comic. Because you've got the, like, kind of the smaller hatching going on, and then just the strong areas of solid black. Just one of those comics that's, it's fun to look at just the little details. Now, this dude has been hidden out in the basement. The innkeeper is kind of keeping him a secret, probably because he just doesn't want to be this guy's next victim. And then the subject of Christmas comes up, and our guy, our vampire, our not Dracula, he starts getting an idea, because if he's having a hard time finding victims. He's having a hard time getting people showing up at the inn. He's gonna have to take some more drastic measures to get something to eat. So, he's formulated his plan. It is Christmas Eve. And these kids are very, very excited. So excited for a certain visitor. And this isn't exactly what they were expecting. But somebody else has followed our vampire dude. And I think this is a really great use of the contrast in the lighting, because we have a silhouette. We all know who that is. We don't need to see him clearly to tell exactly who's just showed up. And I also we don't know what's happened to Dracula here. Some fate has befell him. He's not having a good time. But in the end, the kids are perfectly safe. And Santa has seen to that. So that is the whole comic. Just a little quick story. I just think this is a super fun comic to look through. I like the story. You've got the holiday Christmas setting without it being the, hokey, usual Christmas tropes. They've combined a Christmas and horror theme very well, and I like that. And I hope you guys have enjoyed that also. Definitely this is a cool collection to check out, as I said, and I hope you stay tuned for the next episode.